All right, here we go. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. No matter where you are or how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. So many content options out there, so we're always very appreciative of you stopping by. On the show for today, 10 players to watch for the Birds in their preseason opener against the Baltimore Ravens. And speaking of that game, it's going down on Saturday night. Kickoff set at M&T Bank Stadium for 7 o'clock Eastern. A quick trip down I-95 south to Baltimore. The Eagles coming off a magical season last year in which they went 14-3, won the NFC, heartbreaking loss to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The Ravens, on the other hand, signed Lamar Jackson this offseason. Some roster questions, but they brought in Odell Beckham Jr. They fortified that wide receiver spot. Their defense is always feisty. Probably not going to see a lot of the marquee players suit up in this game, but a great matchup as far as depth and backups because both of these teams have very good rosters. And we're going to be talking about it on Saturday night. Saturday marks the return of our watch parties right here on the channel, so join us. Live play-by-play, audience interaction, super chat giveaways, taking down some drinks and chopping it up. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock Eastern, an hour before kickoff, 3 o'clock on the West Coast. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. Therefore, when we do go live, you will be notified. So 10 players to watch. Let's start here with Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia, who was selected number 30th overall by Philadelphia in the 2023 NFL Draft. No particular order here, just some names that came to mind as we were putting the show together. And Nolan Smith, he's had a very strong training camp up to this point. He's gotten some reps with the ones as an edge rusher, but also as an off-ball linebacker. What I'm excited to see, his speed, elusivity, coming across the edge, and his explosiveness. All of those traits have really popped for him. I'm also looking forward to seeing that speed in game action. We've talked about his 40-yard dash in the pre-draft process. It was breathtaking for his size. He was injured last year at Georgia, but it looks as though he's healthy from that shoulder injury. He's ready to get after it, and I hope that Philadelphia gives him some extended action to see how his game translates to the NFL level. He has said time and time again on the Greenlight podcast with Chris Long, interviews with the media, all I want to do is hit somebody. Well, Nolan, you have an opportunity to hit somebody who's not your teammate. Can't wait to see him in action on Saturday night. Jalen Carter, player number 2 to watch, and another Georgia Bulldog, of course, because it's the Philadelphia Bulldogs pretty much on this roster and in this draft class with Kelee Ringo a part of it as well. Carter has been overshadowed by how impressive Nolan Smith has been throughout training camp. Now he has an opportunity on center stage to truly show what he can do. And in a game situation, it's easier to see what a defensive tackle can do, how dominant he can be, the push that he can get as compared to an edge rusher, because sometimes edge rushers, especially in this scheme, are out on an island. But for Jalen Carter, with some of the replays, with watching the trench play, you'll be able to see him potentially push that line of scrimmage and get that penetration. In a game, that's where you see how dominant a defensive tackle can be, and what I want to see, the power and quickness combination that he brings to the table. I'm not sure how much the Eagles are going to show off defensively as far as their personnel, the packages, and the scheme that they use. They want to keep it somewhat of a secret going into the Patriots game week 1, but will they line him up like Georgia did last year all along, that defensive line? Because throughout camp, he's lined up in a 4-eye technique, a 3 technique, and does have that versatility to his game. Today's poll question is this. I know it's the preseason, but have some damn fun in the comment section. Who you got on Saturday? Preseason opener, PHI for the Birds, BAL for the Baltimore Ravens. Another member of this draft class, and it's very rare for a team that just made it to the Super Bowl to have some rookies that you're so excited about. Nolan Smith, check. Jalen Carter, check. Sidney Brown, check as well. An instinctual player who's really physical. And now, not going up against his teammates, he has an opportunity to show off that physical play. That's what he did at Illinois. Also, though, given his style of physicality, he also has this instinctual ability as well. And sometimes you can't really show off that during some of these practices, but they do come about and pop on tape in games because he can read where a play is going, dissect what is happening before it happens, and that's what he did at Illinois as well. He can make a strong impression with this preseason game? And if he does, can he start opposite of Reed Blankenship? Currently, it's an uphill battle for him to do that, but it's not like Kevon Wallace or Terrell Edmonds have occupied or stolen that safety spot opposite of Blankenship. Another rookie that I'm looking forward to watching, Tyler Steen. And his versatility has been something that I've been monitoring throughout camp because at Vanderbilt and at Alabama, he played left tackle. When the Eagles drafted him, though, they listed him as a guard. But so far in camp, he's gotten reps at left tackle as well as right guard. And as a rookie, you want to make yourself as useful as possible. You want to show your coaching staff and the best offensive line coach in the game in Jeff Stoutland that if an injury happens, they have confidence in you to fill in wherever. And Tyler Steen can do that. Showed off a little nasty streak earlier this week, getting into a little bit of a scuffle. And where will the Eagles play him against Baltimore on Saturday at M&T Bank Stadium? Is he going to play left tackle? Is he going to play right guard? Is he going to play both? Who's your favorite rookie of this Eagles draft class? We've already talked about a few on today's show. More to come as well. Gives you a hint as to what's coming up around the corner. Drop me a name down below. Now to an undrafted free agent. And shout out to producer Chip. He knows this player really well because Chip went to Clemson. He's also from the Philadelphia area. For those of you not familiar, is Chip, not Joseph Ngata. But let's talk about Joseph Ngata here. UDFA out of Clemson. He's caught everything that's been thrown his way. He could seriously make a run at wide receiver 5 because right now it's occupied, the receiving room, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Olamide Zaccheaus, and then after that, a roster spot is open, and Ngata could steal it. Really nice size at 6'3", 217, and when you think about the aforementioned wide receivers that I just talked about, none of them really bring the size and the skill set of Ngata. Now, A.J. Brown is a big physical wide receiver, but he's not like that jump ball type of guy. He thrives with the 50-50 balls as well as the contested catches, no doubt about it, but Ngata can go up and get it, and that body, he's been able to really catch everything his way with a good catch radius throughout camp at the NovaCare Complex in South Philly. Betting odds for this game. The over-under, yes, you could bet on preseason games, and you already know I'm going to. Over-under set at 36 even. Baltimore Ravens, the favorites at -6. That tells me that the odds makers don't think Philadelphia is going to play any of their starters. Nick Sirianni traditionally does not. If you want to bet on this game, no better place to do it than with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. They are offering, once again, a 125% deposit bonus. All you have to do, plug in that link down below me, chatsports.com/EaglesBet, promo code Eagles125. When you enter that link in that promo code, let's say you deposit $100, you get $125 back. That's $225 to game with. Another player to watch here, Kelee Ringo. And what do you know? Another member of this 2023 draft class. It could go down as a really pivotal one in the course of this franchise just because they're affordable players who could be impactful for the next 4 to 5 years, and the Eagles need affordable assets on this team because they're in this Super Bowl window paying premium dollars to premium players. The 4.3 40-yard dash for Ringo didn't always stop him from getting beat at Georgia. That was a little bit of a problem with him throughout his Bulldogs career. Going into last year, a lot of people thought he could have been a first or second round pick. The Eagles obviously moved up to take him on day 3 of the draft. Does he have future cornerback 1 skills? With the speed, the length, the size, he might. Pretty solid ball skills, although sometimes he lets it get lost in air. And he's had a solid camp so far up to this point as well, and he's going to have an opportunity to feast on that outside too. And could Philadelphia flirt around with playing him a little bit at safety to see what he can do with that positional versatility? Backup center. This doesn't have to do with a specific player, so to speak, but the backup center situation is interesting. Now, Cam Jurgens was drafted to be Jason Kelce's future replacement. He's now starting at right guard. If Kelce were to get hurt, I would imagine Cam Jurgens would start at center. Who would fill in at right guard? Or do they just want to have Cam Jurgens play solely at right guard? Because the backup center situation has been a little bit of a problem. Brett Toth got relegated to third team because he had issues with snapping the football. And then newly signed journeyman Josh Andrews, who's been in the league for 10 years, took over as the second string center. Who gets their number called first? and do they perform well? The linebacking situation. Nakobe Dean did return to practice on Wednesday. That's a good sign, although he was a limited participant. But the linebacker situation as a whole is probably the biggest question mark on this Philadelphia defense. I understand that they lost both starting safeties and Marcus Epps and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They lost 2 starting backers, though, as well. Good player in T.J. Edwards and a serviceable guy in Kaiser White. So you have Nakobe Dean, who's injured. Christian Ellis is a UDFA who's been making plays, but is he actually legit, or was there a reason he was a UDFA? Nicholas Morrow has struggled in coverage. Clearly, the Eagles weren't overwhelmingly pleased with the linebacking spot. That's why they signed Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham. What's the rotation going to be? How are people going to play? Trey Sermon checking in at number 9 here. He's had a really good camp. And Nick Sirianni, all throughout this offseason, has really gone out of his way to compliment him. Player with pedigree, 3rd-round pick of the Niners 2 years ago. There's a logjam at running back. While the Eagles aren't paying a lot of money to that running back position, there's a good competition. Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott. That's 4 running backs right there. So could Sermon be on the outside looking in, or could he force Philadelphia's hand at keeping 5 running backs at a position that they don't always really value? That's a big question to think about as we progress throughout the preseason. And then coming in at number 10, it's a combo package here. Marcus Mariota and Tanner McKee. Mariota most likely is going to start because I'd be shocked if Jalen Hurts does start this football game. Mariota trying to learn yet another offense. He's played with Tennessee, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Philadelphia, all somewhat recently, trying to get a grasp of this system. He had struggled all the way up until Wednesday when he had a pretty solid camp. I've always thought the throwing mechanics are a little bit off and wonky. He can certainly run it a lot. Has he mastered this system? Has he mastered this scheme? And can he instill confidence in the fan base and the coaching staff if Jalen Hurts were to get hurt? Because Hurts has missed at least 1 game each of the last couple of seasons. And then you go from Marcus Mariota to Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee, the 7th-round pick quarterback out of Stanford, has intriguing ability. He's long, huge hands, strong arm. He played in a dog-shit, boring offense at Stanford under David Shaw. He's not necessarily a system fit for Philadelphia, but they clearly liked him a lot to take him. He's getting more third-team reps now than Ian Book. So is it going to be the Mariota and McKee show with Book playing sparingly, if at all? We'll see come Saturday. Before we hop on out of here for this particular segment, if you're watching us live, continue to hang out with us. Predict the score. Birds, Ravens, Battle of the Birds, down in Baltimore, Maryland. Join us for our watch party, and we'll see you there.